The Protevangelion, Chapter 10. And when her 6th month was come, Joseph returned from his building houses abroad, which was his trade, and entering into the house, found the virgin grown big. Then smiting upon his face, he said, With what face can I look up to Yahudah my Elohim? Or what shall I say concerning this young woman? For I received her a virgin out of the temple of Yahudah my Elohim, and have not preserved her such. Who has thus deceived me? Who has committed this evil in my house, and seducing the virgin from me, hath defiled her? Is not the history of Adam exactly accomplished in me? But for in the very instant of his kavod, the serpent came and found Hua alone and seduced her. After the same manner, it has happened to me. Then Joseph, arising from the ground, called her and said, O thou who hast been so much favored by Elohim, why hast thou done this? Why hast thou thus debased thy soul, who wast educated in the Holy of Holies, and received thy food from the hand of Malachim? But she, with a flood of tears, replied, I am innocent, and I have known no man. Then Joseph said, How comes it to pass you are with child? Miriam answered, As Yahudah my Elohim liveth, I know not by what means. Then Joseph was exceedingly afraid, and went away from her, considering what he should do with her. And thus he reasoned with himself, If I conceal her crime, I shall be found guilty by the law of Yahudah. And if I discover her to the children of Yasharal, I fear lest she, being with child by a Malach, I shall be found to betray the life of an innocent person. What therefore shall I do? I will privately dismiss her. Then the night was come upon him, when behold, a Malach of Yahudah appeared to him in a dream, and said, Be not afraid to take that young woman, for that which is within her is of the Kodash Rawak, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. Then Joseph arose from his sleep, and glorified the Elohim of Yasharal, who had shown him such favor, and preserved the virgin. Chapter 11. Then came Annas the scribe, and said to Joseph, Wherefore have we not seen you since your return? And Joseph replied, Because I was weary after my journey, and rested the first day. But Annas, turning about, perceived the virgin, big with child, and went away to the priest and told him, Joseph, in whom you place so much confidence, is guilty of a notorious crime, in that he hath defiled the virgin, whom he received out of the temple of Yahudah, and hath privately married her, not discovering it to the children of Yasharal. Then said the priest, Hath Joseph done this? Annas replied, If you send any of your servants, you will find that she is with child. And the servants went and found it as he said. Upon this both, she and Yosef were brought to their trial. And the priest said unto her, Miryam, what hast thou done? Why hast thou debased thy soul and forgot thy Elohim, seeing thou was brought up in the Holy of Holies, and didst receive thy food from the hands of Malachim, and heardest their songs? Why hast thou done this? To which, with a flood of tears, she answered, As Yahuwah, my Elohim liveth, I am innocent in his sight, seeing I know no man. Then the priest said to Yosef, Why hast thou done this? And Yosef answered, As Yahuwah, my Elohim liveth, I have not been concerned with her. But the priest said, Lie not, but declare the truth. Thou hast privately married her, and not discovered it to the children of Yasharal, and humbled thyself under the mighty hand of Elohim, that thy seed might be blessed. And Yosef was silent. Then said the priest to Yosef, You must restore to the temple of Yahweh the virgin which you took thence. But he wept bitterly. And the priest added, I will cause you both to drink the water of Yahweh, which is for trial, and so your iniquity shall be laid open before you. Then the priest took the water and made Yosef drink, and sent him to a mountainous place. And he returned perfectly well, and all the people wondered that his guilt was not discovered. So the priest said, Since Yahweh hath not made your sins evident, neither do I condemn you. So he sent them away. Then Yosef took Miryam and went to his house, rejoicing and praising the Elohim of Yasharal. Chapter 12. And it came to pass that there went forth a decree from the Emperor Augustus that all the Yahudim should be taxed, who were of Bethlehem in Judea. And Yosef said, I will take care that my children be taxed. But what shall I do with this young woman? To have her taxed as my wife, I am ashamed. And if I tax her as my daughter, or all Yasharal knows she is not my daughter. When the time of Yahweh's appointment shall come, let him do as seems good to him. And he saddled the ass and put her upon it. And Yosef and Shimon followed after her and arrived at Bethlehem within 3 miles. Then Yosef, turning about, saw Miryam sorrowful, and said within himself, Perhaps she is in pain through that which is within her. But when he turned about again, he saw her laughing, and said to her, Miryam, how happens it that I sometimes see sorrow, and sometimes laughter and joy in thy countenance? And Miryam replied to him, I see 2 people with my eyes, the one weeping and mourning, the other laughing and rejoicing. And he went again across the way. And Miryam said to Yosef, Take me down from the ass, for that which is in me presses to come forth. But Yosef replied, Whither shall I take thee? For the place is desert. Then said Miryam again to Yosef, take me down, for that which is within me mightily presses me. And Yosef took her down, and he found there a cave, and led her into it. Chapter 13. And leaving her and his sons in the cave, Yosef went forth to seek an Hebrew midwife in the village of Bethlehem. But as I was going, said Yosef, I looked up into the air, and I saw the clouds astonished, and the fowls of the air stopping in the midst of their flight. And I looked down towards the earth, and saw a table spread, and working people sitting around it, but their hands were upon the table, and they did not move to eat. They who had meat in their mouths did not eat. They who lifted their hands up to their heads did not draw them back. And they who lifted them up to their mouths did not put anything in. But all their faces were fixed upwards. And I beheld the sheep dispersed, and yet the sheep stood still. And the shepherd lifted up his hand to smite them, and his hand continued up. And I looked unto a river, and saw the kids with their mouths close to the water, and touching it, but they did not drink. Chapter 14. Then I beheld a woman coming down from the mountains, and she said to me, Where art thou going, O man? And I said to her, I go to inquire for an Hebrew midwife. She replied to me, Where is the woman that is to be delivered? And I answered, In the cave, and she is betrothed to me. Then said the midwife, Is she not thy wife? Yosef answered, It is Miryim, who was educated in the holies of holies, in the house of Yahudah, and she fell to my lot, and is not my wife, but has conceived by the Kodash Ruach. The midwife said, Is this true? He answered, Come and see. And the midwife went along with him and stood in the cave. Then a bright cloud overshadowed the cave, and the midwife said, This day my soul is magnified, for mine eyes have seen surprising things, and Yeshua, salvation, is brought forth to Yasharal. But on a sudden the cloud became a great light in the cave, so that their eyes could not bear it. But the light gradually decreased until the infant appeared and sucked the breast of his mother Miryim. Then the midwife cried out and said, How glorious a day is this, wherein mine eyes have seen this extraordinary sight. And the midwife went out from the cave, and Salome met her. And the midwife said to her, Salome, Salome, I will tell you a most surprising thing which I saw. A virgin hath brought forth, which is a thing contrary to nature. To which Salome replied, As Yahudah my Elohim liveth, unless I receive particular proof of this matter, I will not believe that a virgin hath brought forth. Then Salome went in, and the midwife said, Miryim, show thyself, for a great controversy is risen concerning thee. And Salome received satisfaction, but her hand was withered, and she groaned bitterly, and said, Woe to me, because of mine iniquity, for I have tempted the living Elohim, and my hand is ready to drop off. Then Salome made her supplication to Yahudah, and said, O Elohim of my fathers, remember me, for for I am of the seed of Abraham, and Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Make me not a reproach among the children of Yasharal, but restore me sound to my parents. For thou knowest well, O Yahweh, that I have performed many offices of charity in thy name, and have received my reward from thee. Upon this, Amalek of Yahweh stood by Salome and said, Yahweh Elohim hath heard thy prayer. Reach forth thy hand to the child and carry him, and by that means thou shalt be restored. Salome, filled with exceeding joy, went to the child and said, I will touch him. And she purposed to worship him, for she said, This is a great king which is born in Yasharal. And straightway Salome was cured. Then the midwife went out of the cave, being approved of Elohim. And lo, a voice came to Salome, Declare not the strange things which thou hast seen, till the child shall come to Yerushalayim. So Salome also departed, approved by Elohim. Chapter 15. Then Yosef was preparing to go away, because there arose a great disorder in Bethlehem by coming of some wise men from the east, who said, Where is the king of the Yahudim born? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod heard this, he was exceedingly troubled, and sent messengers to the wise men and to the priests, and inquired of them in the town hall, and said unto them, Where have you it written concerning Mashiach, the king, or where should he be born? Then they say unto him, In Bethlehem of Yahudah. For thus it is written, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Yahudah, art not the least among the princes of Yahudah? For out of thee shall come a ruler, who shall rule my people, Yasharal. And having sent away the chief priests, he inquired of the men in the town hall, and said unto them, What sign was it ye saw concerning the king that is born? They answered him, We saw an extraordinary large star shining among the stars of Shamayim, and so outshined all the other stars, as that they became not visible. And we knew thereby that a great king was born in Yasharal, and therefore we are come to worship him. Then said Herod to them, Go and make diligent inquiry, and if ye find the child, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. So the wise men went forth, and behold, the star, which they saw in the east, went before them, till it came and stood over the cave, where the young child was with Miryim, his mother. Then they brought forth oat out of their treasures, and offered unto him gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream by Amalek that they should not return to Herod through Yahudah, they departed into their own country by another way. Chapter 16. Then Herod, perceiving that he was mocked by the wise men, and being very angry, commanded certain men to go and to kill the children that were in Bethlehem, from 2 years old and under. But Miryim, hearing that the children were to be killed, being under much fear, took the child and wrapped him up in swaddling clothes, and laid him in an ox manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Elizabeth also, hearing that her son Yochanan was about to be searched for, took him and went up unto the mountains and looked for a place to hide him. And there was no secret place to be found. Then she groaned within herself and said, O mountain of Yahudah, receive the mother with the child, for Elizabeth could not climb up. And instantly the mountain was divided and received them. And there appeared to them a malach of Yahudah to preserve them. But Herod made search after Yochanan, and sent servants to Zacharias, when he was ministering at the altar, and said unto him, Where hast thou hid thy son? He replied to them, I am a minister of Elohim and a servant at the altar. How should I know where my son is? So the servants went back and told Herod the whole, at which he was incensed, and said, Is not this the son of his like to be the king in Yasharal? He sent therefore again his servants to Zachariah, saying, Tell us the truth, where is thy son? For you know that your life is in my hand. So the servants went and told him all this. But Zachariah replied to them, I am a martyr for Elohim, and if he shed my blood, Yahudah will receive my soul. Besides, know that ye shed innocent blood. However, Zachariah was murdered in the entrance of the temple and altar, and about the partition. But the children of Yasharal knew not when he was killed. Then at the hour of salutation, the priests went into the temple, but Zachariah did not, according to the custom, meet them and bless them. Yet they still continued waiting for him to salute them. And when they found he did not in a long time come, one of them ventured into the Kodesh place where the altar was, and he saw blood lying upon the ground, congealed. When, behold, a voice from Shamayim said, Zachariah is murdered, and his blood shall not be wiped away, until the revenger of his blood come. But when he heard this, he was afraid, and went forth and told the priests what he had seen and heard. And they all went in and saw the fact. Then the roofs of the temple howled, and were rent from the top to the bottom, and they could not find the body, but only the blood made hard like stone. And they went awry and told the people that Zachariah was murdered. And all the tribes of Yasharal heard thereof, and mourned for him, and lamented 3 days. Then the priests took counsel together concerning a person to succeed him. And Simeon, and the other priests cast lots, and the lot fell upon Shimon. For he had been assured by the Kodesh Roach that he should not die till he had seen Mashiach come in the flesh. End of the Protevangelion, or an historical account of the birth of Mashiach and the perpetual Virgin Miryim, his mother.